Hi, I'm Corey Frazier Morgan, and I graduated from West Virginia University's Master of Fine Arts program in creative writing in 2010. And if you've been following me on my social media accounts, you know that I am dismayed and heartbroken and upset about what is currently happening at my alma mater. It is really devastating to me to see things that have really benefited students and programs that have benefited students completely taken apart based on bad financial management and based on problems with leadership. But I'm not here to talk about that. A couple of days ago, I wrote a letter to a friend of mine who is writing an article about this whole situation for a major publication. And I thought that it would be cool to make a video sharing with you what I wrote to her. Because I've been doing a lot of writing, a lot of letter writing, a lot of Facebook posts, and a lot of content creation, but I have yet to directly speak to people about my experiences and in particular what I have done since I've graduated. So a couple of things are on the wall behind me. Over here is my diploma, if I can move my finger over. And over here is my logo for my business that I started, Inkling Creative Strategies. It helps writers through an author services program reach their full creative potential so they can impact and inspire readers. That is something that I'm really, really proud of in terms of things that I've accomplished. I've had a pretty lengthy career path after leaving WVU, and a lot of it is pretty random. For example, the first year that I was out in 2010 to 2011, I worked at Half Price Books for a year, which, as you can imagine, the paycheck was pretty decent, but there was an employee discount that was great, so it kind of all evened out. Maybe not so much on my level or in my benefit. But apart from that, I also worked for various educational content companies, and I taught college on and off for about 8 or 9 years. So all of that changed in 2020 during the pandemic when I got the idea to start a company for people who wanted to write and, wanted to learn more about writing and wanted to even write books, but they didn't really know how to get started or what to do. So I looked at my background with teaching and content creation. I had also been a copywriter, so I knew a lot about marketing. And of course, my education in creative writing, and realized that I had a really unique combination of abilities that could meet the needs of these writers. So I was very proud to be able to have the skills to start a company that has now helped 27 authors learn more about their craft, become better at their technique, and even release books. So I wanted to do a little show and tell and demonstrate to you some of the really cool things that my company, by virtue of my education at WVU, has done. So I'll start out my show and tell with Realm by H.L. Gibson. This is a sci-fi speculative novel that has a really, really interesting twist to it. I actually, when I work with my writers, I have to read their books if they are working toward publication and I'm doing editing for them upwards of 3 or 4 times. And this was a joy to read. So if you like speculative kind of sci-fi related things with multiple timelines, kind of the Christopher Nolan jumping through different worlds kind of thing, you will really like this book. I'm really proud of H.L. Gibson and what she's done. This book is Sober Chronicles, and this was written by a gentleman named Mark Lee Shannon from Akron, Ohio, who is a local musician who played with Michael Stanley, if you know him. He was really, really big in Ohio, but also made a splash nationwide in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And Mark has an interesting story as an artist because he also has been sober for going on 9 years. And this piece, this book includes essays about his journey as a musician, but also somebody recovering from substance use disorder. And this book has made a major impact locally. It has been in treatment centers. Mark has brought it to different facilities that help people struggling with addiction to share his story. So I really love this book. And another thing that's cool is that as part of my business, I do typesetting. And this was actually the very first book that I did the layout for internally. And I love how with this one I did highlighting because that's something that he does in his journal and he wanted to bring it into the book. So this was really, really exciting for me to work on. I really admire Mark and I really admire what he does as a person in recovery. So this book, like I said, has impacted people all over Northeast Ohio, and it really is just a wonderful piece of work. So I also have Mom's Magnavox. And this is a nostalgia piece by a guy in Canton, Ohio, that actually has some slight, perhaps, relevance to WVU in a negative way because it's about the Pittsburgh Pirates and his fandom with the Pirates in the golden age of the Pirates in the Roberto Clemente age in the 70s and post-1960 World Series. So, sorry, WVU, but I worked on a book about Pittsburgh. Oops. But it is a really, really good book. Finally, I've got A Mystery in Hawaii. This one is really cool because it was written by a 13-year-old girl. So this is the first in a series of books that she is doing about these two sisters, Margaret and Molly, and they solve mysteries together while learning about their faith in Jesus. So that is a show and tell of some of the authors that now have books in the world because of Inkling and because of what I've been able to do as an MFA graduate. There's one last thing that I want to show you, and it's the thing that I'm probably most proud of. What I have here in my hand is the published copy of my master's thesis from WVU. You can find this available in their library and online for, I assume, some kind of access fee. But when I look in this book, in this little blue thing, I see the front page of my master's thesis with my wonderful committee, Emily Mitchell, Mark Brazaitis, and Alyssa High. And those were 3 people that I loved working with in the program. 3 years ago, I published what was first known as My City Was Gone as The Goodbye Love Generation. I designed this book myself. Like I said, I love doing typesetting. So I created a whole brand surrounding this. And it was also where I launched my imprint, Bezalel Media. And of my authors that I've worked with, there are now 3 people, H.L. Gibson, Sarah, and another gentleman, Robert D. Silvestro, whose book I don't have here. They are now published under my Bezalel Media imprint. So why am I doing this now almost 9-minute video? I want people to see that creative writing is cyclical. When you teach somebody to embrace their creative gifts, they have the ability to pass that on to other people. And teaching about storytelling is something that we pass from one person to another. When you eliminate a major chain in that circle, you are taking away the ability for as many as 27 people to lose the opportunity to learn their craft. And I have 2 purposes in doing this. The first is to show that eliminating the MFA program eliminates voices. I think that the world would be a much sadder place without these authors in it. And those skills were what enabled me to start the company that gave them the ability to speak. So I hope that you learned something about what I've done in my time since graduate school over the last 13 years. And I hope that you'll consider signing our petition to support the MFA program. Thanks for watching.